Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up, my G.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Yo, what's good, everybody? How you doing? It's your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, about to do this awesome episode, this new episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, coming at you live from the Asian Sensation Studios in the greater Washington DC Metropolitan Area. And I'm here tonight in the studio solo, so there is no Hector today, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling awesome. Hector, if you're listening, what up, bro? We really appreciate everything that you've done here. And it's going to be good because I'm going to be making a commercial-free episode today. And I got a lot on my mind, a lot on my plate. Something that I'm very comfortable in talking about. So it's going to be a walk in the park. And I'm just really excited. You know, every and any chance that I get coming over here, you know, in the studio, making a recorded episode for y'all, I feel good because it is a part of who I am. It is what I do. It is a creative medium, and I love it. I can't get enough of it, and it's amazing. You know what I mean? So we're out here. You know, we're doing things. We're doing things, and you know, I'm feeling very, very happy to share what I love to do with y'all, and it's great. It is absolutely great. Before I actually jump into this, I want to give a huge corporate shout out to my friends over at Century Martial Arts. For years, they have been making awesome products that have been revolutionary in the world of martial arts. Everything that you know from such things as various martial arts uniforms of all types of disciplines, including like uniforms of the Iron Man and the Punok, training equipment such as Century Wave Masters and Century Bobs, and weapons that were also co-created by world champion weapons martial arts athletes that actually make a great weapon to their liking and their specifications that will also translate in your way of training in the martial arts. This is great stuff here. Century is a great company. I love them. And guess what? You should go ahead and get stuff from them, and you should check them out. Go to www.centurymartialarts.com for more information. Or if you're in the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma area, go to their headquarters/storefront at 1000 Century Boulevard in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73110, or give them a buzz at 1-800-626-2787. I'm telling you, you want to deal with these guys because they're the best at what they do. And with great customer service, with great representatives like my friend Catherine Wicks, who knows everything from A to Z and knows everything about the Century Martial Arts line from top to bottom, it's no wonder why Century is number one. It's no wonder why they're the world leader in martial arts since 1976. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off because I feel good. I feel in a good place. And, you know, I just want to go ahead and start this thing. You know, a few days ago, I actually got in contact by one of my good friends. Now, I'm going to list a lot of friends here, and I'm not going to give out their identities for the sake of safety. But I will use some either alias or just like I'll just use like the first letter of their name. So, that being said, a few weeks ago, I get a real good a call from a good friend of mine. Her name is Jay. And Jay calls me up and she lets me know that she is going to be testing for her first degree black belt in the art of Japanese Shotokan karate by the end of the year. So probably around the December time. And when I heard about that, I was like, dude, that's amazing. I can't believe it. This is going to be great. This is something that you've been working really hard at, towards, the goal of earning a black belt, of wanting to earn that prestigious rank. But there was one thing that, Jay, she actually reached out and she popped the question. And she was like, yo, Kim, I got to ask you something, man, because, I know that, you're a third degree black belt in a different type of martial art, but it's still a style of karate. So I have to ask you, what's the secret of earning a black belt? Like, there's got to be like, some kind of hidden formula or a secret sauce or something like that, or just, what's the deal? And my thing, when I actually, when I thought about the question, when she asked about it, I had to think about it for a little bit. And I said to her, well, look, I don't think that it's anything of like trade secrets or, there's a secret ingredient, to the formula of this question that you're asking. Because to be honest with you, I always thought of it as the stuff that I did is more common knowledge and it's common sense rather than it being, an ingredient of the secret sauce. You know what I mean? And that always bothered me a little bit, when somebody thinks that, there's a secret technique or a secret answer or something like that. No, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, there's no secrets. It's just basic common knowledge. It's common knowledge as knowing that water is the most healthiest thing that you can drink, for your health and just for your longevity. But, rather than, splitting hairs about that, I just said, I'm going to go ahead and answer this. Now, I told her, like, look, I have covered this indirectly before because if you're a fan of my podcast, you would know that on the very first season of my podcast show, episode 11, I made an episode called The Road to Black Belt and How We Got There, where I interviewed 3 ladies that are friends of mine that are all black belts. 2 of them just earned their first degree black belt, while the other one is a 4th degree black belt. But, I told her about that episode. She was like, well, I need something a little bit more updated. And, if you can tell me now, it really would help out. And I told her, look, let me promise you this. I will make an episode out of this and I'll have a little bit of an update, if you will. On the grounds that you listen for it, you wait for it, and when it's out there, you just go ahead and you tune in. And she was like, cool. So that's the reason why that we're making this episode. But also on the other side of the coin, I have fellow students, 2 of them, matter of fact, T and L. T and L are 2 fellow students of mine from the same martial arts school that we train under the same teacher, under the same banner. And they will be testing for their first degree black belts in the art of the Muay Kwan style of Taekwondo. And I just thought, I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. This is fantastic because I get to give advice to my friend Jay, but I also get to give a little bit of advice to my friends who are also my family, T and L. So guess what? We're killing 3 birds with 1 stone here, and this is fantastic. So I'm ready to rock and roll because, as you know, this is something that is a passion of mine. Once again, this is what I love to do. So When it comes to earning a black belt, yes, there are some ingredients, if you will, some steps that has worked out well for me, and I think that it translates very well. It translates very well to no matter what art that you're studying, no matter who you are or what you do. It's all international and it's all related. So let's go ahead and bust it out one ingredient at a time. The first and I think the most important part of earning a black belt is that you must train consistently in and out of your martial arts studio. Now, it's just like its namesake, you train frequently, you train consistently, and you do that to retain the information that you need to know. Obviously, when it comes to, a black belt examination, you're going to be tested on every little thing that you need to know from A to Z. You know what I mean? All the material that you did starting from the first day that you started to where you are right now. And I'm serious. That is a lot of training. That is a lot of hard work. That's a lot of refining the tools, if you will, and learning the tools that you need to know in order to get to that next level. Now, if you train consistently and you do that a lot during the week, it makes it easier for you to retain that information. And that information will be instilled in you. So it comes to a point where they ask you to do a certain technique or a certain form or whatever. You can just be like, hey, I know that because I've drilled that and I went over that numerous times. Hey, not a problem. Because I tell you right now, if you don't train consistently, if you, let me put it to you in words like this. If you train, let's say, 4 to 5 times during the week, you're doing something right. You know what I mean? Because you're constantly working at it. Now, obviously, to some, if you train a little bit more, that's even better. But, if you train about 4 or 5 times during the week, you're doing a pretty good job. Now, if you're just only training like maybe, and I know this is a little bit of a stretch, if you're only concentrating on training maybe once or twice a week, that's not bad compared to not training at all, but it does make it a little bit more challenging to retain the information. That's why I tell people all the time, if you consistently train, if you keep working on it every single day or every other day, but a lot during the week, it's going to be a lot easier for you. Trust me on this. I've known a lot of people that have trained a lot during the week. Some even train as much as 6 times a week, just so that they can actually keep up and they can retain the information. And they all swear, which is true, that it does help out. So train consistently. Whether if you're in the martial arts studio or out of the martial arts studio, train consistently, train a lot. Repetition is key, number 1. Number 2, work on your cardiovascular, your cardio. Working on the cardio is very, very important because it's one of those things where no matter what we do physically, you want to actually be at your optimum best. And if you work on your cardiovascular, then it's going to be like you're a brand new engine internally. You're going to be running very smoothly at all 4s, depending on, whether it's a V6 or a V8. You might be running at all, 6s or all 8s. You know what I mean? And the best way to actually work on your cardio is do many of exercises that are good for you in this department. A lot of people that I know do a lot of running. They run a lot of miles just so that they can develop the physical endurance. of going through a belt examination. More so in this case, let's say, a black belt examination. You know what I mean? It's great to actually make sure that you're on point physically so that you don't gasp for air and you don't gas out. Now, there are some other exercises that people can do for great cardiovascular, because there are some people in the world, me included, that just, we don't like running. We really don't, and I always think that, there's got to be a different way, to help, build on cardiovascular. And I've felt like other exercises out there, stuff like walking a lot of miles. That's awesome. Going biking and just riding your bike for a lot of miles and, all terrains and stuff like that. That's amazing. Swimming is awesome. Just even like going into the gym and working on the elliptical machine and actually putting a lot of miles on that, that's also good. Some people actually prefer swimming. I mean, that's the whole workout right there. You're just literally going, lap for lap, move for move, motion for motion, and you're swimming in that pool. You know what I mean? You're just going at it. Your legs are working, your arms are working, your whole body is working. That is a good exercise. And some people do a lot of things like, a lot of jumping jacks, and they also do a lot of sparring with a punching bag for a lot of rounds, doing like 3 sets or 3 rounds of sparring for 3 minutes a pop. That's also good. Now, I have to tell you that, with certain workouts and so forth of developing your cardio, the results may vary. You know what I mean? So it's always good to find out what works best for you in that sense. If it works good and you're not really killing yourself, if you're not, getting yourself into a situation where your heart is not, jumping out of your body, but is actually pumping blood and, going at a good rate, then chances are that's a good exercise. So, work on that cardiovascular. It's very, very important. Another thing, another ingredient, another step, and I just thought about this, is, taking constructive criticism with that grain of salt. Now, let me explain this. Sometimes when we train, we try our very best to actually work and perfect the technique that we need to know. It is one of those things where it's a common thing that when we train sometimes, we do make a mistake. We may not realize it, but we do make mistakes. And then there'll be other people, experienced people, more experienced, advanced belts, that are higher ranking, especially black belts, that might see what you're doing and they can pinpoint it. And they can say, hey, this is something that you need to do because you missed it or you did the wrong technique and so forth. So they're giving you advice and they're giving you a little bit of some constructive criticism on how to fix a certain technique or, how to fix the timing or, your stances or where you need to step. And to me, I always thought that was a real useful thing because I realized that when higher ranking belts, like black belts and stuff like that, are saying things and pointing my stuff out to fix it, it's not to insult me in any way, shape, or form, and it's not there to harm me. It is meant to help me. They want to help me succeed. So therefore, they want to make sure that what I'm doing is the correct way. Because you don't want to be in a situation And I'm going to paint you a picture here. So just imagine this. Imagine you are at a black belt exam and you're called to do a form. And you do the form. And you do it, technique by technique, move for move or whatever. But let's say, for example, that you missed something, but you didn't notice. But they did. They can go ahead and call you out on that. And they will call you for as long as if it takes for you to do that form again until it is right. Now, you don't want to, overthink things. You just want to make sure that, while you're training before a test, that you want to make sure that you have everything well in hand. And by listening to your seniors about a certain technique or move, it's a good thing because they want to make sure that you're doing it right the first time. So let them help you. Let them give you a little bit of advice, especially if it's something that's going to help you out. And if it's a positive one, which I don't deny that their tone is never positive. I think it always is. But having those instructors say positive things in a positive way to help you out, that's important. So take everything, all the constructive criticism, in stride with a grain of salt. Now, this one, the last two, in my opinion, are very important because it's all about, in my opinion, the mental. It's the mental. And that's most important because, without the human brain, the body can't function. And that's something that I've learned in the martial arts. That's a philosophy that has kept me around thinking about martial arts philosophy for a very long time when I was training. And I believe in it. So the first part, step number 4, or, ingredient number 4, if you will, is that you really need to possess the positive thinking and a positive attitude. It really goes hand in hand because when you think more in a positive way, when you have a positive attitude, when it's never negative and it's very uplifting, when it's actually in a sense where, let me put it to you this way. When you put yourself in a good attitude where you feel good, it's going to show and radiate all over. You know what I mean? Because when you have a positive attitude, you're thinking in a positive way. When you think negatively, things never get done and things basically overtake you and it consumes you. And you don't want that. When you think positive and when you have that positive attitude, you approach things a little bit more differently. You'll find that things get done a little bit better and you feel less stressed out. The less stress that you feel, the better that you're going to feel. Not just only physically, but emotionally. And I will say this. I have seen people at different tests, not just the tests of my school, but I've been to other people's tests in general, of all ranks. They have made a mistake, maybe once or twice, and they're called up back on the floor once again to do something, and they may have done it more than once. Now, imagine you're being that person, and then the pressure's getting to you. You might feel a different way. So now, all of a sudden, you're starting to think a little bit negatively. The anxiety is really pressuring on, and you're probably thinking, oh my God, I'm getting way in my head. I don't know what's going to happen. That type of thinking is a big no-no, ladies and gentlemen. You want to take each situation one step at a time, and you want to make sure that you tell yourself it's going to be okay, that you are going to go ahead and conquer it, and that you will do whatever is necessary And when you actually have that type of thinking, it goes a long way and it helps out. So have that positive thinking and have that positive attitude. It goes a long way. I promise you. Last but not least, I think it's very important to have a positive circle. Positive circle meaning, a great network of friends, family members, and fellow martial artists, especially ones in your school that has a good effect on you and gives you nothing but a lot of love and respect. It's unfortunate because we do live in a world where sometimes it can get really sticky. By that, I mean a lot of people are very negative, not only to other people, but to themselves. And that energy just, travels around easily. You know what I mean? And you don't want to surround yourself with that. You want to surround yourself with a network of people who love and care for you. They love you for who you are, and they want to see you succeed. And they're, big proponents on you can do it. You can do anything that you want if you set your mind to it, which is very true. And I feel like when you have that positive circle in your network, you'll be able to get through anything and everything knowing that they're by your side. The thing about it is that, you just got to believe. You got to believe in, the process. You got to believe in what they're saying in a positive way is going to be truth. And I tell you, once you actually surround yourself with positive people and make that positive network of people to be in your positive circle, there's no doubt in my mind that you can't do anything that you want in this world. Whether if it's as simple as, studying hard to get that, that perfect 100% A+ grade on an examination. Maybe it could be as a simple goal as that, you're working out in the gym and you're trying really hard to bench press 200 pounds, simple stuff like that. But with that, once again, the positive network of friends, it works out and it helps out, especially in the martial arts if you have fellow students in your circle, because they know what you're going through. They see what you're going through. Some of them, if they're a higher rank, they've experienced it and they know what's going on because they themselves have been there. They've been through the ringer and they know that, hey, I did this and they're going through it now. I totally get it, dude. I totally get it. And you know what? I feel for them. And anything that I can do to help them get through it, in the emotional sense and the physical sense, but in this case, the emotional sense, hey, I'll be there for you. No problem. Because why? That's what family do. We take care of each other and we make sure that, we're going to stay exactly where we need to stay, on top. That being said, though, I got some messages. I really do. For my friend Jay, I'm really happy and excited that you'll be testing for your first degree black belt. This is going to be a proud moment in your life. We've been friends for a long time, and I've seen you succeed. I've seen you evolve, and I've seen you grow. And let me give you a quick story about, Jay and I, because this is serious. This is a real solid friendship, and one that is built out of, a lot of love and respect and understanding and just, support for one another, not as only as martial artists, but as human beings. Back in 2020, during the beginning of the pandemic, I would say it was in around January, my friend Jay wanted to compete at her very first martial arts tournament. She had never been in one. And we found that there was a local one in Towson, Maryland, which is literally about 20 minutes outside of Baltimore. So she asked me if I could go to her first, showing of the martial arts tournament, that she would compete there for the first time. And she wanted me to be in her corner. I said, heck yeah, I am so down. I love going to martial arts tournaments. I love watching the competition. I love seeing what everybody has to offer. I'll be there. You tell me the date, and I'm there. Literally 24 hours before the tournament, she calls me up in the around the middle of the night, and I'm like, 911 emergency. Hey, what's up? Hey, Kim, this is Jay. I'm not going to go to the tournament. I'm not going to compete. What do you mean you're not going to compete? This is what I said. I'm not going to compete. I'm like, dude, you've been training really hard for this tournament. You know what I mean? You've given it a lot of time. You've trained for about like a solid 2 months. You're ready for this. This is a walk in the park, man. You got this. And she said, and I can't believe that she, to this day, how she stuck it to me. She said, I'm going to compete if you are. Other than that, no deal. Now, you have to understand, at that time, 2020, I haven't competed in years. Easily over 5 years I haven't competed. You know what I mean? And I was like thinking to myself, oh man, what the heck did I get myself into? And I was like, you know what? I know I'm probably going to regret it, but you know what? I'm in. And I literally remember telling all my other friends, I'm going to be competing in a martial arts tournament for the first time in over 5 years at the very last moment with no training. And a lot of them thought I was nuts. But when I told them exactly what had happened and why I did that, they understood it. They really did. They understood the situation, and they said, you know what? We get it. So it's all good. So I go ahead and compete along with, her, different divisions now and, different rankings, but, we did it. And you know what? I will say it. For the first time in quite a while, I actually did pretty good. I competed and got, third in black belt forms and second in black belt men's sparring. Not bad for a showing of that. And then when Jay saw that and she saw how well I did, she was inspired and she said, you know what? Because of what you did and what I saw, I'm going to still train and I'm going to do my very best until I reach my black belt. And I smiled and I said, I hope that you do. And, before the end of the year, around December, I'm going to see Jay test. And that's going to be a great moment. Jay, you know that I love you. And you know that you are a great person with a lot of determination. I want to see you succeed, and I hope for the best. Now, this one in particular now goes in deep, because now we're going from my friend Jay to my friends who are also my family members of the same martial arts school in TNL. To the both of you guys, I want to say that, I love you guys very much. You are my family. I've seen you grow. I see a lot of, work that you put into it, a lot of hard work, training to be at your very best to this moment. And I know that this is going to be a great, great challenge and an important step in your life. But I believe in my heart that you guys will be able to do it. And come on the very last Saturday of the month, when you guys test, you guys are going to do your very best. And you're going to shine brighter than any star in the solar system. Guarantee it. And I've always said that whatever it is that you guys need, I'll always be there for you both. And if you need anything, if you need any help, I'm going to be there for you. Now, at this test, the only thing I can say is I will be in your corner, and I will watch, and I will support you guys because you have supported me. But this black belt test is something that you guys, number one, are going to do for the first time. But also at the same time, this is a black belt test that you guys have to do on your own. Now, you know what you need to do. You trained very hard for it. And you've done a lot of great work. All that is needed to do now is to show up, test, and claim it. That's all. And you know what? I honestly hope and pray, and I've been praying for them, that T&L will go into the examination, the black belt examination, do their absolute best, stay healthy, and stay with the right frame of mind, and pass. And I'll tell them this. When I tested for first degree black belt, it was a great moment because it was something that I never thought would be possible. You know, a lot of people talk about wanting to earn a black belt, and a few of them just don't because they just talk a good game. I went in that examination knowing that there was a lot on the line, and, you know, I wanted to succeed because I put a lot of hard work and a lot of good people invested their time onto me. And when I was testing for my first degree black belt, another black belt who was testing for his third, his name is Swerve, was testing. We're kicking down and so forth, and we're doing a lot of things. And like I said before, that one of the ingredients to earning a black belt is working on the cardio. Well, I didn't really have a lot of great cardio. My cardio's not that good. I'll admit that. But, you know, during the first 5 or 10 minutes, you know, I was really gassing out. I thought that I was really going to be throwing in the towel. I thought I was going to be quitting, you know, because my bad half was telling me, you know what, I gotta, you know, throw in the towel. But every time that we were done, I know that I was breathing hard and I was actually crouching down. But Swerve, he actually went and whispered something in my ear, and he said, dude, get up. You're doing a good job. You're doing exactly what you need to do, but you need to get up. You need to get back in the ring and fight. You know what I mean? Don't give up by any means necessary, because you realize and know that if you give up, that's the end of the test. I'm not going to quit on you. Don't quit on me, but don't quit on yourself. Get up. And guys, I got to tell you, T&L, find the warrior spirit from within. Never give up. Keep pressing. Believe in yourself, like how we do. And I promise you, everything will work out. That I promise. That being said, I do have to get going because there's this is pretty much it. I felt really good making this episode, and I hope that, you know, for somebody that actually listens to this, that they draw inspiration from it. Whether if it's somebody that's going to be testing for their black belt in some martial art and they need a little bit of motivation, I hope that it serves you well. Or if you're not a black belt, but you're still testing anyways and you're trying to advance to the next rank, I hope this helps you get motivation. Or just if there's anybody out there that's listening to it that feels like there's some kind of, positive influence, I hope that this works out for you guys. For real. That being said, look me up under Facebook, under the search box, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I'm also on 2 social medias, which is Instagram and on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can find me at TKHPC Experience all in one word, lowercase letters, no spacing. Follow me, I will follow you back. We are on 5 podcasting platforms. We are on Spotify for podcasters, Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Now, do me a favor. Number 1, please like and subscribe to my podcast on all podcasting platforms that you are members of. Number 2, if you have Spotify, please give me a 5-star review. Plus, if you have Apple Podcast, not only do me a solid of giving me a 5-star ranking, but a written positive review. Because the more times that you do that, it will actually be shown in the head of the class for both Spotify and for Apple Podcasts. People will see it and be like, hey, this is what Joe was talking about, the Kim Hoang podcast experience. Yes. Yes. Absolutely yes. So, you know what I mean? There you go. Hook me up with that favor. I really would appreciate it. Tell your friends. Let them know. Let them know through social media. Let them know through Instagram or X, formerly known as Twitter, or Facebook, or Snapchat, or, what other type of, social media that I'm forgetting. Let them know. Also, last but not least, if you want to be a special guest host, and or if you have any constructive criticism, email me at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, all in one word, at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, throw that in the subject box and then just write me an email on the body. Send it out, and I will look at it and respond back within 24 hours. Why? Because I love reading my emails and I love corresponding back because it's the right thing to do. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I'm glad to be here and I'm glad to make content. And as I always say, I do it for y'all. I never do it for myself. But I want you guys to be safe and I want you to do the right things. Please be safe out there because it doesn't do me any good if you do the wrong stuff, put yourself in any danger, put yourself in harm's way that may result in you landing in a pine box and getting buried 6 feet under. I don't want that. Why? Because you're worth it. You deserve the great things in life. You deserve the finer things in life. We all deserve to be happy. And you know what? Let's just go down that good path. You know what I mean? The path of good energy. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's all we got, to go by. And that's all we need. So, that being said, for the one time, this is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian Sensation. Doing it from the Asian Sensation Studios. It has been my pleasure, and I can't wait to do this again. So, guys, take care of yourselves. Be good. I love you all. And let's do it again. And cheers to you. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Guys, love y'all. It's been real. But you know what? Your boy's got to go. I'm out 5,000. And like the Ninja Smoke says, time to go. Peace out, y'all. Be good. Take care.